Welcome to the weekend. My name is Brian, and this is actually the first time I've been on Kick. Um, just decided to jump on and see what Kick.com is all about. After seeing a lot of my friends in the podcasting world actually jumping over there. Um, you can find me on Twitter, which is no longer Twitter, which is X, which is the stupidest thing they could have possibly done. How can you take something that's literally uh, entered into the vernacular of literally everybody and just determine that it has no value and switch over to a fucking letter? Um, but that is what it is. You can find me at Tunes Brian over there. Because this is sort of a first episode of this here on Kick, and also kind of trying to get into everything um, after having done a number of podcasts on other formats and various things like that. No, I don't have any music right now. I'm looking into it. I'm trying to get that done. I'm trying to do a lot of things, actually. The recent loss in the family has really kind of taken me and for a little bit of a loop. But getting into the gaming and gaming news and things like that is really kind of what we've always been sort of about. Um, Obviously, I like to clearly introduce myself, particularly for the people in Kick. For those of you who actually do to get my channel and do know me, you know that I've kind of got into the social media world thanks to wrestling podcast, professional wrestling. Back when I was able to sink time into it, uh, really flex my creative muscles, which then turned into just kind of a, a whimsical and fun Saturday morning podcast, hence the Tunes and my Tunes Brian moniker. Um, and then kind of moved back into video games as a whole in the podcasting world whenever my co-host for Tunes had to step aside for family reasons. Having two young children, that's kind of a massive deal, and certainly one that I understand, having two of my own. Now my two are actually all grown up and moved out of the house and into the basement and whatnot. My son has taken up residence in the basement, basically his own little apartment. Lucky him. While mom and dad still pay for everything. But I love having him here. He's fun to be around. He's a good kid. Um, our daughter equally proud. She's in college now, going into her senior year of college. So that's there's so much going on in our lives, and it kind of pulled me away. And now I'm gonna end up with a little bit more time, ideally, to do things like this, to get in and really embrace the things that I enjoy doing, which is creating, which is playing video games, which is talking to other people. If you don't know me, one thing to know about me is the fact that I am hard of hearing, which gives me a little bit different aspect or point of view whenever it comes to things like games to music, which music is really rough for me. Video games are rough for me. Podcasting is sometimes rough for me. Hearing what people have to say. That's why chat is so great, because when you're in that chat room and you type things out, then hey, I get it. But as is the case in most situations, especially in things like social media, you'll know that text and things like that it's really easy to kind of misinterpret what people have to say. So clearly, I do my best. The people around me, they do their best to communicate with me as well. But the one thing that we are here for is the love of video games and things like that. And honestly, though, the one thing that I wanted to talk about this week, besides what I'm playing, because right now my son has pulled me into Overwatch 2. He just graduated high school, was captain of the esports team in his high school for 2 straight years. And during that time, he was able to attain Grandmaster rank in Overwatch. I know in two of the classes, the third one I think he's not quite at Grandmaster. But he pulled me in because he wanted me to start playing with him, and let me tell you, I am terrible. I'm terrible at Overwatch. I'm horrible at it. I've only unlocked a few of the characters, but I've not sunk any time into it. But as long as he wants me to play with him, I'm going to be more than happy to do that. Because it is kind of a fun game in the chaos. But as a gamer, I'm not into the chaos. There's a lot of chaos that I put through and go through at work that I simply do not want to engage in chaos on a daily basis just for entertainment. I look for more relaxing games, the RPGs, things like that, which is why I'm really, really, really looking forward to Starfield coming out this next week. Um, Mortal Kombat coming out right after that. I'm going to be really torn into what I do with those two games and how much time I allot for both. Um, but that's a good problem to have. That being said, moving into the topic that I wanted to talk about today a little bit was the PlayStation Portal. This week, Sony revealed this PlayStation Portable, a handheld peripheral, essentially, for the Sony PlayStation 5. Really kind of interesting that they would go in this direction. Looking at it, it's slick. It looks cool. You're talking about having that 8-inch LCD display that you can link up and take that thing anywhere in your house or anywhere there's a Wi-Fi connection. 1080p screen with 60 hertz of refresh rate. 3.5mm jack. That's pretty basic, pretty standard. You have to forgive me. My allergies are really kicking up today. But the thing is, it is PS5 dependent. You cannot use this if you do not have a PS5 to link it to, which is why I call it a peripheral. It's a $200 peripheral is what it is. For people who are saying, "Oh, this is just like the Switch," no, it's not. It's kind of if the Switch itself were separate from the actual GPU of the what Nintendo has working there to make those games work. I'm not trying to denigrate it. I'm just trying to define what this actually is. The one hesitation that I had on this, and I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I guess that would be a major hesitation. But the one hesitation I would have, just looking at it as a fair product, or in a fair fashion, it's a really good looking peripheral. It really is. Like, I would be excited to have something like that in my possession had I had a PlayStation 5, and you have to forgive me here. It's just a good looking device. The one some of the hang-ups that I have with it, however, the constant Wi-Fi connection. That's kind of weird. Like, in most cases, that's not really an issue, but when you're going through and like, if you don't have a good Wi-Fi device in your house, if you're not going someplace that does have good Wi-Fi, you're just simply not going to use it. It's kind of awkward. It's not like the flat thing that would be basically easy to store. On the other hand, I think the benefit of having this is as a married person whose wife is not necessarily a huge fan of video games, who does want to use the TV, I have multiple TVs in the house. However, I do have typically my Xbox Series X is hooked up to our main television because it's the biggest one and it's got the highest quality. But in a situation like that, it would be great to just take that thing and be in bed and be playing with it and just continue your gaming. Because really, that's one of the things that I like about the Xbox platform is the fact that it's so portable. And seeing this PlayStation Portal, literally, it would be the best way to optimize your portability for that system. It's not feasible to move the system all around. You're popping in remote play and doing that with the PS5. Having something like this would be really, really fantastic to have. I'd be hard pressed not to buy one. I just haven't gotten a PS5 yet, so it would be worthless to me. It would just be sort of there. However, just looking at it and kind of just sort of looking at the device itself, portability would be tough when you're carrying it outside of the house. Just looking at sort of the handles, it's essentially a DualShock or a DualSense controller, split in half, and really with a screen thrown in the middle. But the problem is the awkwardness of the shaping of everything. It wouldn't be something you could just throw in your pocket and go. So it'll be interesting if they come with some portable cases to actually throw these things in. Something similar to what the Nintendo Switch has, where you can stuff that in there, a nice vinyl or nylon case, so you can just carry it with you anywhere you wanted to go. Again, I apologize for my allergies. But looking at that, you get rid of that as a problem. This is just a really slick device. Battery life, no idea what that is. I haven't actually seen it, and I'll see if I can call that up. I can't imagine it would be any better than what a DualSense controller itself would be, especially given the screen. The one thing generation to generation Sony cannot seem to get over is their battery design and their battery life. I had a PlayStation 4, still have it in the basement. And it's the one thing that drove me nuts is just how little battery life those controllers had. And my one concern with this would be exactly that. How much game time are you actually going to get when you're playing? The 1080p, I'm not one of those guys that's super hardcore technical, that I have to have the absolute biggest tech that has out there. Like people talking about, oh my god, it's only going to get 30 frames per second on Starfield, and I'm like, I don't really care. To me, that's not necessarily a thing. Now, if you go down to 15, then you start to notice it. But to me, 30 is right in the range of what our brain can process anyway. 30 to 45 is what the human brain, ocular, nervous system can actually handle. So when you start getting into the zoom ones, yeah, you can tell there's a massive difference when you get into the super high frame rate, but there's also sort of an unnaturalness to that whenever you get so high. So the 1080p at 60 hertz, that doesn't necessarily bother me, because I mean, you're talking, that's full definition. Now you're not going to be getting the 4K stuff, which everybody wants to seemingly complain about when we're not reaching at these days. But I mean, you're literally talking about a peripheral device, so you know what you're getting when you get it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So my verdict on it, just saying, okay, well, I have the money laying around, and I have a PlayStation 5, which is one of the prerequisites for this thing. I'd be seriously thinking about getting it. It's a hell of a device. It's a nice peripheral to add to their lineup. To me, I'd want this far more than I want the VR. Having the PSVR 1, it's literally one of the most expensive dust collectors I have in my house. But this thing here, this would get massive amounts of use in my home. I'll tell you that right now. Between my son and myself, we'd be on that thing all the time. So that's what I would think about that. Now, in the meantime, we're pretty much going to be calling that a show, because this was really just kind of stretch the old muscles, trying to get back in the swing of things. And I did a show the other day where I had some lag. This is part about that too. Kind of beta testing the podcasting as I step back into the video casts. And we'll just see where it goes from here. Next time, hopefully I'm able to actually stand by and actually get some allergy medicine into me to where all this clears up. But in the meantime, be sure to check us out on YouTube, Kick, on Twitter, at TunesBrian. And be sure to go to the website, www.oneup.club, if you actually have any questions about where to reach, because I'm going to be updating that website, which has been neglected for a while. But we're getting back into it. So, yeah, and that's going to be it for today. So, have a great day. Get out there, do some gaming. Let me know what you're playing. Let me know things that I should know. If you're playing something and you find something fun and funny, or anything like that, just shoot me a message at TunesBrian, or even in the email, the oneupclub@gmail.com, if you wish. So until next time, my name is Brian, and we will see you then.